Hello again everyone, and welcome back to Two Wheels in Tokyo. It's been a while since my last video, the video where I described why I moved to Japan. Since that time it's been kind of busy here. I took a trip to New York City for a week and finally got back and decided today might be a good day to make another video. Today what I'm going to do is just I don't have a particular destination in mind, so I thought I would just maybe ride around and tell you a little bit about what you're seeing in the video. Right now I'm riding along the sidewalk next to Gaien Higashidori, which would be East Gaien Street, going through Roppongi. I'm on the Roppongi side of the street, and the other side there, what you're seeing now, is Tokyo Midtown, which is a big shopping and residential center, and on that side of the street is Akasaka. So this neighborhood is kind of like in a three-way corner between Roppongi, Aoyama, and Akasaka. And this area here is this part of Roppongi is kind of like the heart of Japan's nightlife district. If you come here on Friday and Saturday night, it's kind of a madhouse here. There are a lot of nightclubs, a lot of more, I guess, adult-oriented places, things like hostess clubs, where you can go inside and talk to a scantily clad, beautiful young woman, so long as you're willing to buy her lots of overpriced alcohol. If you come to Roppongi at night, be careful where you go. Don't get talked into coming into any of the clubs, and don't go into any club alone. You're likely to wake up on the sidewalk in the morning with your wallet empty and all of your credit cards maxed out. This is enough of an issue that the British and American embassies have issued warnings about the clubs here at Roppongi. So yeah, just avoid the places with the Nigerian doormen, and as I said, don't go to any of the clubs alone. This right here is the very center part of the seedy district, and where the most interesting things happen in Roppongi. I guess things that might end up on the news. Though over the years, Roppongi is gradually becoming a safer and more civilized place. Up ahead you can see Tokyo Tower, and to the left is the new JP Tower. Personally, I call it like the Azabudai Tower because the area is Azabudai, and JP, that's Japan Post Office, already has a new tower which they call the Kite building in Marunouchi. Marunouchi means like the center of the circle, and that's called the Kite building, or postage stamp building. The reason they call this tall building ahead the JP building is it was the location of the former main post office, and the new tower was built exactly on the site of the old post office. And I used to go to this post office about once or twice a month because it was open 24/7, which is an interesting thing about living in Japan. If you need to mail a package or a letter or something like that, or pick one up, there's always a main post office in every town which is always open. So a little bit different like than America in that way. And we've passed the nightclub district, and we're getting toward what we call the Ikura area. Roppongi and Akasaka and Aoyama are kind of on the top of the highest parts of Tokyo. There aren't really any mountains in Tokyo. but there are hills, and this area is on the hills and it is called Uptown or Yamanote. And I think on this ride we're eventually going to end up in downtown or Shitamachi parts of Tokyo. So we'll just, I'll kind of go which way the traffic seems the most convenient. Now the Azabudai area here is quite nice. They built the new JP Tower and a huge shopping district with lots of new stores and restaurants and things. It's kind of like a newer version of Roppongi Hills shopping area, residential area, which is quite famous here. And as we go along here, on the right side is the Russian embassy. Once in a while there are protesters out here across the street, 3 or 4 I guess people protesting against the war in Ukraine. On the weekends I guess nationalists come out. They're always upset with Russia. That's why all these police vehicles are here, to kind of to keep the demonstrators away. Not the anti-Ukraine demonstrators, war in Ukraine ones, but the Japanese who are kind of upset about what they call the Russian occupation of the northern islands. Okay. Not a lot of room here to get by. Oh, I've got time to squeeze around. And they come here in these protesters in their black vans with the loudspeakers and things like that, and they play the old World War II military songs, and they scream and rant against the Russian occupation of the northern islands. And the police block off the road here. You can see the barricades. They put these up on the weekends to keep the protesters away. And but the protesters, they make up for not being able to come closer by blaring these loud messages and songs as loud as they can from their vehicles. And these things are organized by the Yakuza. They are very closely affiliated with the nationalist groups here in Japan. And it's really annoying. Every once in a while they have a big get-together, and maybe 20 or 30 of these trucks will come to this area, and they're trying to get either to the Russian or Chinese embassies to annoy everyone as much as possible, make work for the police and tie up the traffic, and also the noise is quite annoying. But on the positive side, the protests are only held during bankers' hours. So yeah, they don't wake you up too early in the morning, and they won't keep you up at night. So kind of them. They want to get their message across, but they don't really want to offend people too badly. So we are passing Tokyo Tower here, and further up ahead is the Zozoji Temple. Maybe you can see the gold emblems on the roof of the temple. That's the cemetery for most of the Tokugawa shoguns. The cemetery actually used to be here on top of the hill where Tokyo Tower is, but it was moved to the Zozoji when Tokyo Tower was built. As it happens, my wife's grandfather was one of the architects who designed Tokyo Tower, so I guess I have a little bit of a connection to Tokyo Tower and the area. Okay, up ahead would be Shiba Park. I don't want to go to Shiba Park, so we're going to go down here next to the Zozoji and take the roads which head downtown. Now, this is a very beautiful neighborhood, and the Zozoji is very famous in Japan, especially in the summertime. People come here for the Tanabata or Star Festival. and they set up bamboo trees around the temple, and people write wishes on pieces of paper and hang them from the trees. It's quite hot at that time of year, and during the festival they set up these lamps all up and down the steps throughout the temple. It's quite beautiful, and we usually come here. They do this every July, so we'll probably end up coming here this July and enjoying the lights in the Tanabata festival once again. And straight ahead are the municipal buildings of the Minato ward, known as Minato City. Tokyo is kind of like a state, and then there are 23 wards, which are basically cities in Tokyo, and then these are divided into smaller sections and into neighborhoods and such. So it's kind of interesting when you come to Japan and try to get a hold of or a grasp on the system they use for addresses here, which is pretty much non-existent. There isn't any like organized way that they do the addresses here. Pretty much the city is divided, or districts divided, into what is called a chome, or like town eye. That's the rough translation. And these are subdivided into lot areas, and then there are building numbers and then apartment numbers, and they're not sequential. So it's kind of a nightmare to be a delivery driver here, especially a new one, and trying to find a place to deliver things, because it's not an easy task. So we're near Onariman area, the Onariman gate to the Zozoji temple. And along this road is the tax office, which is where I had to come to during the pandemic to get my taxes filed. I was like right in the middle of the state of emergency here in Tokyo during the pandemic, but this being Japan, it was open as usual. Whereas if I even tried to call the IRS in America on a weekday, they said something like only 1 in 100 calls was answered. Whereas here in Japan during the pandemic, any government office you called answered immediately, and all calls were answered. Taxes are a little high here in Japan, but I think they give you pretty good service in return. This road here should take us up through Hibiya, and far up in this distance would be Otemachi, which is near Tokyo Station. It's a little early in the morning. It's past rush hour, but not much past it, so there are quite a few cars on the road. So Hibiya, Tamaike, Tsukiji, Shiodome, and Sakurada Dori. Sakurada is named after the Sakurada gate to Edo Castle, and Tameike was the Tame Pond, which used to be on the Akasaka side of the Edo Castle, and it was a very huge pond, and there was a town situated around the pond, and it was famous for having the biggest summer festival in Tokyo. But the pond was filled in, and a new highway and interchange put in where the pond used to be, and the town was kind of consumed by business district and of course the restaurants and shops and stores which serve the business district. And not so many people live nowadays in the Tameike area, except in some of the taller like apartment buildings there. One thing that you realize when you're in Japan, even Tokyo, is that you see a lot of the same places, same businesses everywhere around the country. same convenience stores, the same drug stores, a lot of the same eating establishments. So kind of boring that way, but kind of interesting, because if you find a place which you like, it's usually not hard to find that place in other parts of the country. Okay, we're getting kind of close to the left up the hill a little ways would be Hamaike and the American Embassy, which is kind of like a fortress here in Tokyo. I don't often have to visit the embassy. It's kind of a chore to go there. But yeah, you have to go through, it's much worse getting in the embassy than it is getting on a flight in an airport. You have to go through the security and empty your pockets and go through the x-ray machine. And then they let you through the gate, and then you have to go to the embassy building itself, and they have all these steel and concrete pillars everywhere. And then the glass on the front of the embassy is like 3 inches thick, like designed to stop rocket-propelled grenades. And I wonder what they're trying to prevent here in Tokyo, because it's quite a safe place. I mean, I might expect a building like that if it were like in Lebanon or someplace, but I think the security here at the American Embassy in Tokyo is a little bit overkill. Over there is the Volk's restaurant on the corner, and that's a place which specializes in steak, kind of inexpensive steak, but it's a very popular place to have a nice lunch, have some steak and beer. And along the left we have these buildings here, office buildings. Interesting thing about the office buildings in Japan, especially around this part of Tokyo, is that on the upper floors they're all offices, and on the bottom floor and underground floors they're full of shops and stores and restaurants and things like that, and they often attach to subway stations. And so even here there's kind of large underground network of walkways and things like that, which is kind of convenient when the weather's really cold or really rainy. And up here, some famous hotels, the Palace Hotel and such are in this area. There was the famous Imperial Hotel, which was built here, which was a Wright-designed hotel, one of the few buildings which survived the 1923 earthquake. Yeah, my wife has been kind of concerned recently because over the last week we've been getting a lot of small earthquakes, mainly kind of in the Chiba area, which is right next to Tokyo. And sometimes these smaller earthquakes build up to a larger earthquake, so a lot of people are kind of concerned that maybe a big earthquake is in the works. I hope not. But they're pretty well prepared for earthquakes here compared to other places. On the left side here, we're passing part of Hibiya Park. Hibiya Park is a very large park located across from the, I guess, catty corner to the Imperial Palace. And it's famous for its gardens and beautiful scenery. There's a nice kids park located inside, and they have beer gardens in the summer, and Japan Railways holds their annual train event here where they bring in stamps and souvenirs and things from the different railroads around the country. A lot of Japanese are very big fans of trains. Japan was kind of built upon its railway system, and that was one of the things which made it economically strong back when the country was developing. It was very easy to move materials and goods around the country. It's also the location of what they call a hatenba, which is where people go to, I guess, have illicit affairs. This park has a long history of this kind of stuff, of people getting together in the shadows and doing stuff which they should be doing in a hotel room or their bedroom. And yeah, that goes back to when the park was first founded more than a century ago, and is still true today. You would think they could afford to stay in a better place, but I guess it's kind of the adventure of it is one of the things which people find appealing here. At least some people. Okay, we're entering the Marunouchi area ahead, and that building straight in front of us with the columns on it, that was the location of GHQ during the American occupation of Japan. And that's where Douglas MacArthur had his office and where he ruled the country for the years that he was in charge. And they keep his office intact. The day he left, he just kind of left the office as he normally would after taking his important papers, and to this day they've never changed anything. And the notebook, the pens, the arrangement of the furniture and everything was just the way he left it when he left Japan all those years ago. On the left side here we have the inner moats around the Imperial Palace. The outer moats go very, very far. I believe that the outer dimensions of the moats of this palace were 18 kilometers, which made it the largest castle in the world. And the hills on the side there, Tamaike, with the pond, that was the main moat, because that connected to the moats which were around that side of the palace. And the farthest moat would be like the Kanda River up there by between Kanda and Akihabara, and it runs way out west toward Ochanomizu and then circles around through Shinjuku and then works its way back. So it was an incredibly huge complex, the castle complex, and not to mention the numerous canals and moats which go through the downtown part of the city, which would be over toward my right. And up ahead, the new buildings of Otemachi, which is destined to become the epicenter of Tokyo. They are in the midst of setting up the newest skyscraper, which will eventually become the tallest building in Japan. The one which we passed earlier, the JP Tower in Ikura or Azabudai, that's currently the tallest building in Japan, but when this new building is finished here in Otemachi, it will take that building's place. Oddly, they are calling this new tower the Torch Tower. In Japanese, it doesn't sound so odd, but in English, I wouldn't want to call a tall office building the Torch Tower. That kind of reminds me of the old movie Towering Inferno from the 1970s. They mean torch more as like a beacon rather than torch where we say where something is burning. And the interesting building on the left side is the Palace Hotel. And went to the Palace Hotel for our New Year's dinner back in January. We ate at the Chinese restaurant there, which was quite nice. On the bottom floor is a very nice lounge, and it's a place where after work I sometimes go to relax before commuting home. I've worked in Otemachi for a while, and they've been building a lot of new stuff here. A few years ago they opened a new, the new Four Seasons Hotel and a couple of other really nice places. And it's not exactly a place I would recommend for tourists because it's maybe a little bit too business-like. And this is the big walkway Going from the entrance of the palace over on the left side. Maybe I'll go ahead and ride along. It's probably easier to see by just going out and taking a look at it. And passing through here takes us kind of to the more central part of the old Edojo, or Kogyo as they call it now. And straight up ahead you can see the inner walls. We're getting lots and lots of tourists here recently, and many of them are coming here to visit the old palace. And there's some of the old buildings are still intact, but most of them are gone. Many of them were burned down in fires over the years. The original castle keep, the largest in Japan, was completely destroyed by fire only a few years after it was finished, and it was never rebuilt. Straight ahead is Tokyo Station, way off in the distance there. And Tokyo Station was modeled after Amsterdam Station. Though I think that Amsterdam Station is a more beautiful building than Tokyo Station. Tokyo Station is still quite an interesting place. There are a lot of really good shops and stores in the restaurant, and some restaurants which I really like. The Dean and DeLuca on the basement floor sells this really wonderful, I guess, pork tenderloin sandwich. And this is the only one in Japan which sells this particular sandwich. It costs about 1,200 yen, which I used to think was expensive, but now I think it's quite a good deal because 12 years ago it was 1,200 yen, and today it's still 1,200 yen because fortunately here in Japan we haven't really had the kind of inflation which a lot of other places have suffered. Over here we see the inner moat with the beautiful bridge crossing it, and there are usually swans inside this moat, and a lot of people come here to take photographs of the swans. They're around somewhere. I'm not sure where they're at today, but I don't know, maybe they're taking to get them cleaned up or have a bath, or wherever swans happen to go this time of year. And over here is the location of the new tower. It's got to go like several stories underground, and they put the anchors in the solid rock deep below the city before they begin building up the building. Interesting thing, when you see the stone moats here, all these stones which they used to build the castle all had to be brought from somewhere else, because there are no rocks or stones in Tokyo. This is nothing but soil unless you dig down, many meters below the ground. And so all of these had to be, I guess, quarried in other parts of Japan and loaded onto boats and ships where they were transported here to Tokyo to make the shogun's new castle. No bicycles. This is a Koban here, police station. And here comes the boss to make sure that the younger guys at the Koban are doing their job of giving out proper directions to retired people visiting Tokyo. Yeah, it's a little bit quiet now. Everyone has done their commute to work, and everyone is working hard, reading newspapers or playing phone games in the bathroom, sitting at their desk from time to time. Yeah, to give you an idea of the way that office workers work here is that every floor of these buildings have restrooms, and restrooms have a lot of toilets. And during most of the day, it's almost impossible to find a toilet because to fill up the idle time during the day, the salarymen go and sit on the toilet for, 90 minutes per day. And it's very difficult when you're in one of those situations where you actually have to use a toilet, but you can't find one because All the toilets are full of salarymen reading newspapers and playing games on their phones. And so sometimes I've had to go up and down the stairs to different floors to try to find a toilet which I can actually use, which is not pleasant. And these yellow stripes along the roadway here, this is to help blind people find their way along the sidewalk and to the train stations. I don't see a lot of blind people in Japan, but there are some here, so they make sure that they can find their way around. And way up ahead is the, I don't know, can't see it so well here, but the Merrill Lynch building. Used to be a big landmark. Not so much anymore because there are a lot more interesting buildings built up and going up around the city. The Shin Otemachi building. Shin means new. It doesn't look new anymore, but they're going to replace it, and I guess they'll have the Shin Otemachi building. Yamanote train is passing over as I'm riding here. And to my right, I'm passing Tokyo Station. To my left is a construction site where the new Tokyo Torch building is going to be put up. So Kita Sando Kisa, so North Sando Kisa, and these are some of the things which they are going to build. The building where I used to work was located here, the old JX building, and that and the buildings around it were knocked down, of course, to build this new torch tower. And up ahead in the distance would be Kayabacho. Right, we have some bicycle lane here again. And when we leave Otemachi, right now we're entering Nihonbashi, which is Japan's former financial district. It's home of the Tokyo Stock Exchange still, but most of the work is actually done in Otemachi now. Nihonbashi has become kind of run down. It's not as fashionable as it once was. And we're going to, in a few minutes, ride over Nihonbashi itself. Nihonbashi means Japan Bridge. And when Shogun established his new capital here in Tokyo, the Nihonbashi was considered the center of Japan, and all distances throughout the country were measured from this station. And so the Shogun and other people sent people around the country, and they would measure the distance from the different provinces around the country from this bridge. Eitai building, Ginza. All right. I will hang a left here by the beautiful Merrill Lynch building, which all the Merrill Lynch people lost their jobs in the financial collapse And up there you can see Nihonbashi, that's what it says in kanji there. Now, interesting thing about Nihonbashi, this area right here where the bridge crosses, for more than 2 centuries was Tokyo's main fish market. And this is where all the fish from the sea were brought up and sold within the city. Those were the days when this bridge used to be made out of wood. Of course, now it's a very beautiful stone bridge with these wonderful bronze sculptures on either side. And then they built the highway overhead, which follows the canal or moat, one of the various moats toward Tokyo Bay. And on the left side is the Mitsukoshi department store. And this was the second building in Japan to get a telephone. So for a while there were only 2 telephones in Japan, and I could imagine it was just people talking from one telephone to the other one. I'm not sure where the first telephone was located, but the second one was in the store on my left-hand side. And this is the kind of ground zero for the Mitsui Group, which is Japan's second largest conglomerate after Mitsubishi. Mitsui Sumitomo Bank, Mitsui Real Estate, Mitsui Insurance, all the Mitsui stuff is based here. Our apartment building was built by Mitsui, and it's managed by Mitsui, and the maintenance people work for Mitsui. And the parking underneath our building is called Mitsui Repark. But I guess the Mitsui family were merchants who ran a store here in this Nihonbashi area, and eventually became some of the wealthiest people in Japan. And around here is the headquarters is in a tall building up on the left, which is where the Mandarin Oriental building is located. And I used to know the former chairman of the Mitsui Group. His name was Utsuda, and his daughter was a reporter for the Nikkei, and she spoke better English than I did. I guess she was educated in England and learned what was called the Queen's English, but very nice people. In Koreido, that's this whole area here full of shops and restaurants and offices, and the Mitsui Garden Hotel. This is actually, if you're coming to Japan, this is a good location to stay. Kind of close to Nihonbashi Station, which is straight up ahead there. And reasonable price, but the location is the best thing, and it's fairly new. And the street here is Edo Dori. I used to live off of Edo Dori. If you turn right here and you go out toward the Sumida River, I had a rather large apartment close to the river. And it was a pretty nice place. I could actually walk from there to Otemachi in about 30 minutes. I could walk back and forth to work, though I would usually ride my bicycle. Sometimes take the train if it was pouring down rain or if it was snowing, which sometimes it does here. Up ahead here is a pretty good camera shop, the Kitamura Camera, which is kind of like a buying center for used cameras, and it's the only big one which is left. The biggest one used to be in Shinjuku, not far from the west side of Shinjuku Station, not far from the Prince Hotel. But that one closed down last year, and so the one up here is the last one left, at least in this part of the city. Though there's another one which is pretty good near Akihabara, and that's, I guess, where we're going to head on this ride. We're going to stop up in Akihabara. On the left side here is this restaurant which makes a wonderful dish of beef and peppers and onions. And though I don't like the taste of it so much, it smells really, really good. And whenever I go by it, it makes me feel really hungry. And there's Kitamura, they're not open yet. Mitsui Sumitomo Ginko. So yeah, lots of Mitsui stuff here. In the Mandarin Oriental Hotel, they have a breakfast buffet, which is like one of the best you'll find in Tokyo. It's quite delicious. And reasonably priced, believe it or not. I was kind of shocked on my recent visit to New York to see how expensive things had become there. I went to Taco Bell and I got 2 soft tacos and a steak quesadilla, and it cost about almost $20. So I was quite surprised at how expensive things are. I figure how much a real meal at a good restaurant costs. You can eat at a Michelin star restaurant here in Japan for about the same price. Okay, and coming up to Akihabara pretty shortly, that green steel bridge up ahead is kind of the border between Nihonbashi and Ameyoko and Akihabara. Ameyoko was the site of the old black market in the post-war years. When Japan was rebuilding, they were trying to do things like organize the distribution of food and goods and things like that. And the government failed rather miserably at being able to do this. So black markets opened up so people could actually buy and sell the things they needed without the government making it hard for them. And it was successful, and the government stood back and allowed it to happen because they couldn't do a better job. And Ameyoko still exists today. And it's kind of an interesting place to wander around if you're visiting in the area. And of course there is Akihabara, the home of anime and maid cafes, and where I come sometimes they have a couple of good stores here which sell music stuff. It's not as nice as like Ochano Mizu, which if I turn left and go up Yasukuni Dori, that would take me through Ochano Mizu with all of its beautiful music and guitar stores. But they have a pretty good selection in Akihabara, and they're not overly expensive. And that's where the train line splits. We have one train which goes up toward Ueno, and then the other train splits off and heads out towards Ikebukuro and makes the circuit all the way around Tokyo. Not sure if the maid cafes are open yet. It's still kind of early in the morning. And I imagine the people who work at and frequent maid cafes don't keep regular hours. And here we're crossing the Kanda River, which was the outer moat for the palace. And if I'm looking for a used computer or something, I can find it here to the right over that way. There's a really good Apple reseller shop. There's kind of a thing which Japanese people who are really strapped for cash do. They will go and buy stuff like new Apple products or new stuff at Big Camera or Shinkansen tickets, and they will come over here and sell them. and the buyers, of course, sell them for a profit. So you know, what they do is they buy these things on a credit card. You can't actually easily get a cash advance on a credit card here in Japan, but you can buy something expensive with your credit card and you can sell it to one of these reseller shops and get a good deal of your money that you spent, so you can spend it. And for people who are looking for new goods at a discount price, you can find them around here. Oh, Mario Karts. Mulan. Lots of pachinko parlors and things like that around here. There'll be a lot of tourists in this area. The tourists really love Akihabara. There's some right here. Probably Akihabara and say Cat Street to Harajuku were the most popular place in Tokyo for tourists. And Sofamap. I used to buy stuff here. They have a good selection of cameras, computers, and things like that. That old house in the distance is a really popular restaurant. Hard Off. That's a really cool place if you want to buy antiques or used cameras, musical instruments, things like that. It's a recycle shop. We have a lot of computer stores here and hobby shops. We actually have a few apartment buildings back here. Believe it or not, people actually live in Akihabara. Yamato Takubin, delivery people. Yep, no maid cafes are open yet. I'm not sure how much battery I have left in my camera here, but I think I've got enough to make it up to the entrance to Ueno Park. So that's where I'm going to go, and then I'll go ahead and stop the video there. Let's get back out on the main street here. The Tam Tam Hobby Shop. That is a really good place if you like remote control hobbies or airsoft or things like that. Airsoft is very popular here in Japan. People are airsoft enthusiasts here. It's a good thing they can't get really they can't get real guns here, or there'd be I don't know, probably be mayhem. But in Odaiba, I think it's the let's see, not the Diver City, but the one behind that. The Palette. Yeah, the Palette Shopping Center has a really huge indoor airsoft place, which is made of a bunch of old stores which used to be there. And people have a lot of fun playing airsoft. It's kind of inexpensive. You can play there by the hour or by the day, however you like, and you can rent all the stuff you need. So if they're like any airsoft fans who want to try it out here in Tokyo, you can find it in Odaiba. Probably other places around here. I'm not a big fan myself. I used to play paintball back in the day, though. Paintball isn't legal here in Japan, unfortunately, because paintballs can go more than like 100 meters per second, and anything which fires a projectile at more than 100 meters per second is not legal in Japan. It's going to be on someone else's YouTube channel. In Sukiya, I just passed to my left, that's one of Japan's famous inexpensive eateries. One of the places very popular with salarymen, where you can get a good meal for about $3. be coming up to Okachimachi, Okachi town. Machi means town in Japanese, or cho or machi. Otemachi, that means big hand town. And up along here is Wise Road, a really good bicycle shop. Come here to buy tubes or tires for a bicycle. There are places closer to where I live, but this isn't so far from where I work. The big Matsuzakaya department store. Their main store is in Ginza. Every year at the Matsuzakaya store in Ginza, they have a camera fair of dealers who come from all around Japan, and they bring rare and interesting cameras to this store and they sell them. It's like on the 5th floor, and it happens, I think it happens in February or so. I mentioned that I never see blind people around Tokyo, and there happens to be one right up in front of me. And you can see the trees in the distance. That's Ueno Park. All right, let's continue. And Amayoko is over to my right. Okay. And of course, Ueno Park is getting ready for the Hanami, or cherry blossom viewing season. It's the busiest time of year to come to Ueno Park, and it's a real blast. If you happen to be in Japan at that time, visiting Tokyo, even if you aren't going to be having a picnic at the park, it's really wonderful just to walk through it and see. So pretty much every square meter of ground under any of the cherry trees is reserved for businesses and families and things like that, and they have their Hanabi parties. Lots of alcohol, lots of music, lots of food, and lots of fun. And it's Ueno Park is also famous because they have different kinds of cherry trees here, and some of them bloom more earlier than the other ones. And up ahead I can see some of the cherry trees which are already in blossom. And further up ahead, where the road veers to the right, that would be Ueno Station, which is maybe the 3rd or 4th busiest station in Tokyo. You can get express train from Narita Airport to Ueno if you're staying at one of the hotels in the area. And if you're staying here, it's really nice because Ueno has a lot of good restaurants, and of course Ueno Park is a very famous place for not just the cherry blossoms, but for the National Museum, the Museum of Western Art, and other places. But I'm going to go ahead and end my video here because the battery is getting low and this video is getting quite long. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I plan to make a video going out to Tokyo Sky Tree next. I'll be going on a different route through maybe more quiet parts of the city, and you can get a look at what I guess the more laid-back residential parts of Tokyo look like during the day. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you tune in again soon.